Okay, so we are starting up today's session. Welcome everyone for today's webinar. It's on Discover the Entrepreneur Within You. So this is a series we will be hosting at Zuno. So get ready to be inspired as we dive into the journeys of multiple entrepreneurs along the series who have transformed their passion into thriving businesses. I'm your host Ayushi, and today I'm thrilled to introduce our extraordinary guest. She's an entrepreneur who has brought waves in the healthcare industry with her innovative approach of managing hair loss. So please give a warm welcome to Saloni Anand, the brilliant founder of Traya. So Saloni, over to you. Welcome. We all are happy to have you on board. We're looking forward for an amazing session with you.
Thank you so much, Ayushi. Really looking forward to have a interesting chat. Let's get started.
Yes. So to start up, Saloni, let's start with a burning question on everyone's mind. What was the driving force behind the establishment of Traya? And was it your personal mission or a keen observation that you had in a market, you figured out a market gap? And we would also love to know the inspiration behind the name.
Sure. So Traya is an outcome of a personal health struggle that me and my husband went through. Um, we both in 2017-18 had health issues, especially him. He was going through a lot of chronic health issues. Hair loss was one of them. And he is the true entrepreneur. I'm not. So he was running a food startup back then. And what happens when you run startup is that you gain a lot of stress, which gives you diseases.
Yeah.
There came a point where we realized that he can hire a CEO there and take a break. And he had spent about 2 years non-stop working on that food startup. So we decided to take a break and work on health. He had hypothyroidism, hair loss, uric acid, a lot of issues, 25 kgs overweight, etc., etc. So in that sabbatical to really fix health, we got into research. He comes from a biochemistry background, so he started reading research papers about thyroid to understand what can he do about his hypothyroidism, which is not getting controlled. And in that journey to fix our own health, we realized that unfortunately, Western medicine or allopathy in chronic diseases has very limited research available. There are only one or two approved pills that one can take. And there's nothing more that you can do. So if you are having this pill for thyroid, you need to have it all your life. Altaf was already at this position where his pill dosage cannot be increased. He was like at the top level there. And then that sort of pushed us to start researching in alternative sciences, and we came across Ayurveda, which is very surprising that being Indians, both Altaf and I had no exposure to Ayurveda before this, and we
Yeah.
got into that. One thing led to the other. I'm going to cut it very, very short because I can just answer this in 1 hour, so I'm going to keep it very short. In 6 months, we did something. Let's call that something as adopted a holistic way of living, used Ayurveda, allopathy, and food science to heal his body. And his doctor was surprised to see what was happening. His thyroid levels dipped on their own, which was never expected. And his thyronome dosage from 150, which is max possible, was brought down to 25. 25 is like compared to like almost like a normal person. So
Yeah.
we saw all of that, and in that journey his hair also regrew. And all of our friends started saying कि क्या कर रहे हो भाई, मेरे को भी शादी करनी है, हमारे भी बाल उगा दो type. So
Yeah.
fast forward by 1 year, we realized that the hair loss market, in fact the entire chronic health market, whether it is hair loss or something else, is very, very broken. The way our healthcare system is designed, the doctors, everything is for acute health. Like let's say
Yeah.
I have fever, I'll go to a allopathy doctor, they'll give me fever medicine, I'll finish, I'll be fine, I'll go back to my life. But let's say I have a lifelong disease that's going to stay
Yeah.
with me. The system is not designed for chronic health. It's you have no clinic in India where there are more than one specialist sitting together, planning your holistic living, giving. The doctor will say eat healthy, which is the worst thing, by the way, to say someone is to eat healthy, right? So we realized that okay, there's something exciting about this chronic space, and let's do something. Let's start something. It began very vague with let's start something, and then once we got into it, we were very, very aggressive on learnings. So I remember in the morning we decided, let's start a company around this, or let's do something, let's ideate around this. By evening, we had set up a survey of 5,000 people, started collecting data. In a week's time, we had our first website launched, which was not even hair, by the way, it was something else.
Okay.
Right. So uh, we were very aggressive, and in that 6 months of really speaking to people, interviewing, ideating, understanding the market, we realized that um, this is super exciting. I also ended up quitting my job in that phase, because well, startup consumes more than 8 hours, 9 hours of time, and you cannot start while thinking that मैं job भी करूँगी, ये भी करूँगी, वो भी करूँगी. So we sort of went there, and one thing led to other, and we realized the hair industry is the most exciting of everything. It's the most complicated, the most competitive, the most cluttered. The hair industry has thousands of products out there that claim to solve something for your hair fall, but
For
none of
sure.
them actually regrow your hair. And that sort of made us. It was very exciting to really go in this cluttered, competitive market and say that, hey, finally we have something that works. And hence we started Traya somewhere at the end of that year. The entire first year was more about clinical trials, products, formulations, really coming to a point that what we saw with Altaf is not one of a case, but we're seeing similar results with hundreds of men out there and females out there. And that's when, in almost a year later, in November 2020, we launched the brand. Now, coming to Ayushi, your question on the name, all right.
Maybe. Yeah.
Traya in Sanskrit means Trinity. And
Okay.
at core, the brand is born out of the philosophy of bringing Ayurveda, allopathy, and nutrition together. So Traya has nothing to mean about, is not related to hair loss, but is more related to, now that you know my story, is more related to this philosophy of really bringing sciences together and making them compatible, rather than fighting against, are you allopathy believer or an Ayurveda believer? So we named it Traya. We wanted it to be a Sanskrit word. We wanted it to be a 4 to 5 letter word, very short. So it kind of uh, tick marked all our requirements, and hence we chose this name.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful even to know, like, you did so much of research around it. And how did you even came up with the name? It's now that we can bridge it together. You're starting a journey and then coming to the name. It's
Uh,
amazing.
Everything since we started Traya, like I said, we had aggressive timelines. So in the
Yeah.
morning, we decided we need a name, and we needed a name by evening. The biggest problem with naming, finding a name for any one startup is licenses and domains,
Yeah.
because everything
Trademarks and I think
everything
domains.
is
Yeah.
taken, right? So we basically figured websites which are government websites where you can write names and see if there are any licenses applied on those name or not. Domain is the easiest. You have GoDaddy, etc., where you can type a name and see if there is a domain available, how much it costs, etc. And then we made a list of about 30, 40, 50 names. We had certain checklists. The checklist was, one, it should sound good. It's okay if it doesn't mean anything. Well, Google and Apple don't really mean anything, right? So
Anything. Yeah.
we even had names. I remember something like Hunana, which meant nothing. We were just like
It
singing
should be
song,
catchy
and
enough
yeah,
to,
so it should be
yeah.
catchy. But what we were very, very clear about is that it should be short. um, One thing common about Apple and Google and everything is that they're very short names. They're not like really 10, 15 letter names.
Yeah.
So we took like short names. I went to Sanskrit dictionary and looked at every word that could be like interesting for Traya, and then went out and checked for licenses. So one name, for example, was Tattva, because it meant elements, and we were bringing so
Okay.
many elements together. But Tattva licenses were all taken,
Yeah.
domains taken. So Traya seemed like the most available name, luckily. Also had a meaning that's very, very extendable. It's not just like fix your hair. It's Traya, which could do anything in the future.
Yeah.
uh, so we sort of went ahead with it.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. So now, while you were talking about like how you have come with your clinical research and while you were researching to build up on your product. So, in today's technology driven world, the effective utilization of technological advancements is a paramount for any business success. So, could you elaborate how has Tyra harnessed the power of technology to enhance product offering and to reach to customer satisfaction levels?
Right. I think at Traya, tech is the most important piece. It is also the piece that has where most money has gone in
Okay.
terms of our in terms of our when we look back and see, okay, we raised fund, where did the fund go? Was it marketing? Was it like you try to put it? I think since day zero, we started investing in tech. Um, Everything that we do, all the way from the online diagnosis to really diagnose hair online, to understand what's happening, to the entire massive backend that we've built where Traya doctors sit and evaluate how customers are going, what's happening. Each customer in Traya gets a coach. So we in the backend today know of the 2.5 lakh people who are using Traya, how many are seeing results, how many are not going to see result after 3 months. This predictive technology, we know who will stop the treatment this month. They are about to
Yeah.
drop off. They need a call. They need that nudge. They need that
Yeah.
support from a doctor, a intervention. So there's so much of technology for a consumer. It's probably like just healthcare products coming to their house, but at the back end, really a lot of adherence technology is made to with the concept with the thought process in mind that we need to bring this person to that fifth month so that they start seeing the regrowth results, because hair regrowth unfortunately is not something you see in like 10
Yeah.
days, 15 days. So a lot of tech there, a lot of medical tech, a lot of image recognition analysis to see how results are moving ahead. Lot of tech around communication, right? So now moving, this is like direct tech, but like even departments at Traya use tech for everything that they do, for tracking, for measurement, for
Yeah.
strategy design. For I can't emphasize enough on how important being data oriented today is. In fact, even in the 0 to 1 space where we start new projects and we are experimenting with new ideas, we like to hire people who are very strong in data,
Yeah.
because that really helps. So tech is one, but what happens when you have really rock solid tech is number two, which is you have amazing capability of using data. So now today here at Traya, every decision is has become data oriented,
Yeah.
right? It is data that tells us that do this, do that. Your consumer wants a call on day three, not on day two. Your consumer wants whatever it is, right? Every
Yeah, you
decision
can
becomes.
predict the user behavior as well with that.
In fact, our doctors tell us that, there's a doctor dermatologist I was just speaking to who works for Traya. She said that I've worked 15 years in my clinic and I've not seen as many patients as I've seen in 1 month of working here at Traya, and I'm learning so much here because the tech tells the doctor what is the predictability of Traya's treatment, whether they will see treatment in 5 months, 7 months, 8 months. It
Yeah.
also prompts the doctor on what to do during the treatment to improve the success result of the customer. So the doctor now has tech support, which is something that they're finding it very amazing because um, uh, Traya's advantage is not that the doormat is senior or quality of doormat. It is that the doormat has 2.5 lakh customers history and a
Yeah.
data running over it to guide them on how the treatment can be planned out. So I think
Yeah.
that becomes really powerful.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful to know. And so now I'm moving to the journey of entrepreneurship since we have so many young folks here who would be an aspiring entrepreneurs or want to start on that. So, Saloni, we all know that entrepreneurship is a roller coaster ride. So, could you share any electrifying example of a risk that you took at Traya, and how it played out for you?
Entrepreneurship is about taking risks.
Yeah, it is.
If you are smart and intelligent, you might just not become an entrepreneur because there's a level of foolishness required. I remember when we started the company, we went out and told people that, hey, we are starting a hair loss company. And from friends and family to investors, all we heard was, seriously, do anything else, don't start a hair loss company. There are like thousands of oils there. Amazon's most crowded hair loss, hair fall product, like the most crowded
Yeah.
category is this. How can you go in the most crowded category who you're not going to have the money that the L'Oreals of the world has in terms of marketing? How are you ever going to do anything? But really believing in, and that's why passion is way more important than is this industry a good industry to start? How is the TAM? Is my idea good enough? All of those things don't matter because ideas change. You pivot as soon as you start learning and pivoting. That's how that's how entrepreneurship works. What matters is passion, because that helps you keep driving,
Yeah.
going through that that tough time and not give up in between. Number one. Number two, risks is like, we started off, I can tell you 10 examples. It's very difficult to choose one. um, and we told people that, hey, we are going to sell hair loss solution and not a hair loss product, because our research said that if I give you one Traya product, like one oil or one something, you will not see hair growth results. You will see results only when I give you a regime which will
Holistic.
have
Yeah.
4 to 5 things, right? So we told people, hey, we are not going to sell shampoos and conditioners. We are selling here herbs and vitamins and things that people will have to eat. And the first thing that came out was, it's going to fail. In fact, most investors that we met initially rejected us because
Okay.
they told us that if you really want to make a large brand in India, sell shampoos and conditioners. That's what people buy. They're not going to eat anything for their hair. And you will have to sell it on Amazon and Nykaa and Myntra, and that's when you cannot sell anything on website. And we went there and we said no, because the reason we have started this company is because we want to give efficacy out there. We want to grow hair. If you're going to again become a L'Oreal like
Yeah.
shampoo brand, then we might as well shut the company, because the reason, the whole passion is from the fact that, hey, we can grow hair and nobody can.
Yeah.
And if growing hair needs to be selling on website, needs to be selling 5 products, needs to bring a doctor level in between, needs a lot of tech, which nobody has done before, we will do all of it. Otherwise, we'll shut the company. Um, and today, when 3 years later, when I stand here, I know the reason we succeeded is because we were so differentiated. We stuck to these things. We did not hear what people were throwing at us, and we were very clear headed on what our vision is and why we have started this company. So I hope that answers your risk question.
Yes, it absolutely. So I think one thing that we all can take out of it is that being passionate about something that's so core to your heart, and then you're putting the hard work that you're building up, there is a there's a
And
greater
don't listen.
possibility of success.
Yeah, and the worst thing is to listen to someone, right? So let's say today
Yeah.
you have an idea and you are thinking of starting something, you'll go and ask your friend, "यार मैं ऐसा सोच रहा हूँ." The friend will say something and will shut you down. Doesn't matter what your friend says. All that matters is how powerful is your consumer listening. So do something to talk to a potent customer and see what the customer says rather than what an investor says or what a friend says. So I think that's another point I'll add to the passion
Yeah,
point.
to do your market research properly, like you also did your clinical research and you're starting your itself. So I think that really added up to that. Now, so while you're in your journey right now, we see that it's built up a lot of success. You have, I think, solved a hair growth problem for 2 lakh plus individuals. So I think the building up a team is very important and having that right people. So that's very important. So I think especially in the starting deal while you're building your dream team, it's like assembling of a superheroes. So how did you go about hiring your people for the team? How did you figure that out? What is it, some skill set that you were looking forward to having someone in your team?
Right. So one is, in the beginning, it's very difficult for any startup to hire because, well, people want to work for MNCs.
Yeah.
The good thing is that you don't even want those people. People who want
Okay.
to go to office at 10 o'clock, leave at 6 o'clock, want good coffee in the pantry, and want the pleasures of working in an MNC. You want people who want to be entrepreneurs. In fact, I feel that in any startup, the first 100 employees are entrepreneurs, and they should be rewarded for that, right? They, in terms
Yeah.
of ESOPs, in terms of the money they make eventually, they should be rewarded for that, because these people are not joining you for the salary. These people are joining you for your dream that you are showing them. And they're passionate about that dream equally, that we'll be the largest hair brand in India, right? And that's what happened at Traya. We did not see qualifications, we did not see skill sets, we did not see, of course, we saw all of that, but the primary important piece was, are they bought in into the dream?
Yeah.
One thing that we did for that is, we did not give them crazy hikes. So let's say your
Okay.
last salary check was at X. We
Mhm.
made it a point that we will not give a salary which is more than 30% to their past salary, because you don't want someone to join Traya for money.
Okay.
You want a
Mm.
person to leave a Y job offer letter, which was double the salary, for Traya, because that's when you are getting that entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult, but trust me, there are people out there. Not everybody can start a company immediately. I have not started for the last few years of my career, but joined startups because I liked entrepreneurship. So I know that
Yes.
there are people out there who were like, okay, let me join this startup, work for 5 years, and then I will start my company. And that's what happens. Look at any successful company, be it Myntra, Flipkart. Flipkart has this. I'm sure there are 20 other successful startups born out of people
Out of
from
Flipkart.
Flipkart,
Yes,
right?
you're absolutely right about it.
Because the top first 100 people, whether it's Flipkart, Traya, or Facebook, or anyone, right? The first 100 employees are entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's pretty good for our audience also to understand. Like if they are aspiring to be, it's good to join startups in the starting
Absolutely.
days.
Absolutely. You are given complete freedom. You are there's no bandwidth of the founder to even look at what you are doing. You are on your own. There's autonomy. You understand the chaos of 0 to 1. And you understand what it takes to build something. And
From
and if
scratch.
you enjoy that, then you know that this is your space. In fact, I have worked in startups before, and I realized that I cannot now work in a large company, because I find it, I won't enjoy. So had I not started Try, I would have been right now working in another startup.
That's wonderful to hear. So, yep, that's some really good piece of advice for our young folks out there. Now, I think these folks must be wondering about funding, since funding is a formidable hurdle for any entrepreneur who's starting up. So, how did you manage to secure the capital? And what advice would you give to our inspiring entrepreneurs while they are going for raising funds?
Right. First of all, there is more than needed fund available currently. There cannot be a better time in India to start something. However, if you talk to investors, they will all crib and cry that there are very few good startups to put the money. Where do we put this money? We need startups, right?
Okay.
So that's the scenario, especially in early investing, right? There's ample fund, very less really good startups. So if people are not getting funded, is because there's nothing novel about that idea, or more than that, the investor feels that the founder is not good enough to really make this big, etc., etc. But I really want everyone to know that it's when you hear like winter is there and this funding is very important, that's all for last stage, really big brands like Baiju, etc., who are really up there, and their fund requirements are very different from the fund
Yeah.
requirements where somebody starts. Early investing, money is available. Um, how to go about and look for funds? Google. We Googled, we found people on LinkedIn, and we dropped cold emails. One of the investor that we got two people in a seed funding round, and one of them came through a cold email. The other came through a friend connecting us to them, and then we started meeting the investor just for advice, and we liked him, and we would meet him on, he would feed us breakfast every Sunday morning in Fable in Powai, and
Okay.
discuss what happened during the week and advise us. And once we reached a point where we needed money, we said, "हमें पैसा चाहिए." He said, "Okay, मैं डाल देता हूँ." So it turned out to be like an advisor putting in money, but the
Yeah.
other seed investor came out through a cold email that we sent out. So it's not like you have to be up there. Of course, it helps people who come from really fancy schools and colleges to get funding, because um, it tells an investor that, hey, you are better than the rest, unfortunately. But more and more investors are keeping these things now aside, and keeping an open mind about funding anybody and just looking at idea. I know so many companies where the founders are just normal people leaving their jobs and starting companies. And so it's really upon you, how you go ahead and sort of reach out to people. For us at Traya, just to give an example, we did not go to investors with an idea. We went when we had 55 people who had used our formulations for 5 months,
Yeah.
and 35 of them had like crazy good before after pictures,
Okay.
unrealistic ones. And we just, our deck had those 35 pictures, and consumer learnings of hundreds of hours of conversations with these 55 people, that this is what has
Yeah.
happened. So it's always better to raise or reach out to people when you have something substantial to show, rather than just go at an ideation level.
Okay. So I think in what we can really take out of it is like never the mind of your degree. It's more about what your product is, how passionate are you, how prepared are you. You should do your little bit of research and development into that before raising a capital or maybe getting into that zone of raising capital.
Yeah, I think the of all that you listed, most important is founder passion.
Yeah.
Because early investors realize that it's so small, there's hardly any revenue happening. At this point, you don't know what will happen. So all they rely on is the passion, because then they know that
Yeah.
the founder will not give up.
So as you know, as we are talking about the founder itself, and you are a founder, now we think like you have such a positive and a motivated mindset. You must be motivating your teammates along also when you're going to some roller coaster, good or bad or anything. So we are really curious, Saloni, that how do you stay so fired up and taking up the bullets and shining so bright in this journey?
See, if you're really passionate about what you're doing, what you're building, your vision is very clear, you're taking just ethical decisions, you're not building this for anyone else, not listening to your investors, but doing what you want, then you are just very, very excited to reach office every day. In fact, I get anxious if I've taken a break, and I just can't wait to go back to work. So motivation is not a problem. There are just, sorry, 1 second, my baby. Sorry about that.
It's
I'm at
absolutely
home
okay.
today, so yeah, I have a 3-year-old baby. He just got up. Like I said, if you are really excited about, see, you have to, as a founder, detach with success and failure,
Okay.
right? Some things will succeed, some things will fail. It doesn't matter. In fact, we have this line within the office that we use: "Khali hath aaye the, khali hath jaye." Right? And
Wow.
that takes, because that takes the fear out. And
Yeah.
when you truly become fearless, that's when you and your team starts taking risk oriented decisions, right? That's when your team will be like, agar dar dar ke banaoge, to you're not going to be like, you're not going to have like great outcomes if you're going to like be scared about what you're doing. You have to sometimes really put all your eggs in one basket and say, this is it. I'm taking this leap of faith. I have some data understanding, some consumer understanding. I want to put all the budget here, see what happens. 2 times you'll succeed, 2 times you will fail. We do not look at success and failure too closely here at Traya. What we look very closely here at Traya is the way that experiment or that project was executed. So the
Okay.
only thing that stresses us or puts us in a negative space is when we see that somebody has not executed something well, right?
Yeah.
If it's okay if the outcome is failure or successful, but if the team or me has done it in the most aggressive manner with the top 1 percentile execution out there, and really tested out, close the loop properly, where we're measuring everything, the experiment, we know why we failed, we learned something out of it, now we know next time we will succeed because we got a very rock solid learning out of it, then we are fine. We're all happy. Yeah, that is my voice audible, Ayushi, because somebody just
Yes,
wrote your voice.
it's perfectly audible to us. Can other people also know? Let us know.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, as you were talking about the challenges that you faced and how from failure you learn a lot of things, I think that has been one of your strongest point that you keep going despite it's a good day, bad day, just keep going with that. Now, in the earlier discussion, you were talking about that how data driven you guys are and how data has helped you to reach and to even to have an analysis about what the next consumer is going to be. So help us, and in today's time where data science or other data related fields are also growing up a lot. So share some piece of like how you're using data so that our audience will also know that how data is so essential and how even a hair loss company who's building into that space is also using data. It's not just everyone today is using data.
Sure. Everything, Ayushi. What should be given to the patient?
Yeah.
What should be removed month one? What should be added month two? From that to what should be my next month's marketing budget? Uh, to how should I price my product? Um, to what funnel my website should have? Should I send my user to website or app? What marketing channel works for me? Whatever we do here at Traya is on data. There are only two important capabilities that one needs to have if you are building a consumer brand. One is data, and the
Okay.
other is consumer inciting.
Yeah.
Um, um, Data tells you that you have a dip of 3% on your homepage before people start the hair test. But when you call up 100 people who did not start the hair test to understand why they are not convinced enough to start the hair test, that's consumer inciting. You do interviews, you speak to your consumers to get the why of why the dip is happening. So I think both these capabilities are very, very strong here at Traya. And when the two come together on the table, um, um, then 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 magic happens.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. So I think it's all driven by data and it's backed up by data, which is wonderful. So now, as you were also mentioning about marketing, now marketing and branding are the magical ingredients for any captive customers. So Saloni, how did you artfully communicate Raya's value proposition to consumers? And let us know about your marketing strategy since are you also selling only through your website or are you also using other third party channels and how do you go about your marketing?
Right. Yeah. So again, a very, very big topic. Don't know how to
Yes.
like cover in short, but marketing starts from consumer inciting, right? Knowing who your persona consumer is, speaking with them, understanding them, spending a lot of time with them. Everything starts from there and then moves on to how do you now convince this person that you are the best choice available. Traya is a very, very differentiated solution in hair loss, right?
Yes.
And also the way the consumer journey works, right? People for years have been taught online that you have to come on a website, add
Okay.
to cart, add to cart something, check out and buy, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm here building a website where somebody lands on the website and there are no products. First thing you have to do is take the diagnosis. You cannot buy Traya without taking a hair test,
Mhm.
right? So I had to do a lot of education and explain people that one, I cannot directly sell you some magic shampoo or oil. I will need a diagnosis because there are different types of hair loss types. Your There are a lot of health issues that impact your hair loss, and I cannot give you the best treatment without knowing you, right? So number one. Number two, people know from years that shampoo or oil ही होता है ना. Why are they
Yeah.
giving me these herbs and things to eat, etc.? Why are they suddenly telling me? And that is why you have never seen hair growth, right? So I had to then go out and educate that, hey, oil and shampoo is not going to work. Hair loss is internal. So all these years of marketing conditioning done by the entire hair industry had to be some way broken. um, Number three, Traya is the only brand that goes out there and says 5 महीने लगेंगे. Wherever, whatever ad that you pick up of
Yeah.
Traya, we mentioned that Traya is going to be at least a 5 month treatment. Don't start if you're not committed for 5 months. And this is in a space where there are brands that says 10 दिन तेल लगाओ बाल उगाओ. Right, and even the top FMCG companies don't have the guts to go and say that you'll have to use it for 5 months, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. But we really wanted to come and say that, hey, there's no honesty out there in the hair industry. Can we start a brand that's known for its honesty? So in Traya, if you are taking a hair test and you are like really bald, like stage 6, stage 7,
Yeah.
we cannot help you. So the website does not let you buy anything. The website says that, hey, you are stage 6. We do not think we'll be able to regrow your hair, so please don't purchase anything. And
Okay.
we heard back from our customers that, these are the things that made them believe in the brand, that here is something that's not selling me another onion oil, is understanding my hair loss, diagnosing, giving me a treatment. There are doctors, has and so just to sort of explain, there was a lot of education required in nurturing a lead
Yeah.
to a point where they become a customer here at Traya. And that entire heavy lifting was done by marketing, right? How we did this, we are an online company, and thanks to the digital marketing medium, that video is a beautiful medium to explain things,
Yeah.
right? A hoarding cannot do what a video can, right? So we started doing a lot of data and experimentation in the marketing space. There was a time here at Traya where we would produce 80 videos a month and
Okay.
would just be thrown at Google, YouTube, and Facebook to experiment what sequence of videos actually convinces a person to understand us, why we work, etc. And in about 6 months or so, I think this what I'm talking about is March last year, 2020. By June, July, we saw that the funnel here and the Traya website completely changed. So a lot of people initially landed on the Traya website, and only few people started the hair test. Others didn't know what to do, and they left. By June, July, because of our educative marketing and nurturing a lead and eventually
Yeah.
bringing them to the website, they exactly knew what to do. Now people purchase Traya in the first 3 sessions that they land on the website. They start the hair test, they buy their regime, they buy what Traya recommends. They don't even remove products because they know that there's a lot of science behind the algorithm to define the regime. They know how Traya works. They know why Traya will work. They also understand what they have tried before in their life has not worked, but why Traya will work. And all of this is handled in those series of videos that are shown to people right up from the first time you find Traya to the point where you are ready to purchase. And and we use this, and there's a lot of data to do
Yeah.
this
To back
across
it up.
channels, right? So Ayushi, today
Yeah.
you open YouTube, tomorrow you open Facebook. Traya knows your behavior, how you are moving, and will sort of bring you one step at a time, bought into the system, explaining you the science with honesty, with education, hoping eventually that if you really need something for hair loss, you will go for Traya.
Yeah. So it's a 360-degree marketing. You're not leaving any channel. You're targeting your consumer, which is very wonderful. And I think for video, you have very rightly said it. In today's time, we all are consuming so much of video content. So it's wonderful that we're educating the consumers about it. So some of our, young minds, when we interact with young minds, for entrepreneurship, they want to get into it, but they get a bit hesitant with the from a vertical of understanding that they have to now take now to take care of every vertical in a business. A business consists of marketing, HR, finance. So how the starting journey was for you, for someone who is just starting up, and so what would you recommend them to take their approach in the funnel?
I would recommend get a co-founder. Very difficult to do something on your own. This is a very tough journey. There are bad days. You feel like giving up. Then you need a one partner, even one co-founder. In fact, too many is a bad idea.
Okay.
So get a co-founder. So when my co-founder and I started, we clearly had likings on day zero, where I said, okay, I'm going to take care of brand, marketing, consumer, tech. And he said, I'm going to take care of formulations, manufacturing, sourcing ingredients. He's a biochemist. He loved that space.
Yeah.
And as the company started and the formulation piece was sorted out, he said, I'm going to take care of everything retention. His data capability analytics is way stronger. We realized that my understanding of consumer is quite stronger. So we would, even today when Traya has 300 employees,
Yeah.
the company is divided in two parts: acquisition and retention. Everything that
Yeah.
happens to get somebody onto Traya, and somebody, whatever that happens to make sure that the person continues Traya. Acquisition is mine, retention is his. So
Okay.
even
Yeah.
today, right, with 300 people, it's divided. And that was the case when it was just the two of us.
Mhm.
Then it gets easy because you have someone to pick things and everything is not just onto you.
Yeah, and it also becomes that someone is sharing that same journey with you. So it's a very good to have a partner in this journey. So also, would you like to share some of your insights about the success of Traya? Since we see that there is a you launched in 2019 and till now you have catered to so much audience with so much of love. And so what the strategies that you guys took with the scalability of Traya?
I think when we started in 2019, one, we did not have money, too much money. So we got a seed funding. Even the seed funding was very small. We put all the money instead of marketing. With most D2C brands do is they start marketing because they want to
Yeah,
grow. We put all the money in tech and in clinical trials because we saw results with few people, but we really wanted to make our formulations to a point that even the largest R&D team in the world cannot question what we are doing. So we put all the money there. And what happened at the end of that journey is that we did not grow too much in the 2019-20 year.
yeah,
But by 2020 November, we had the confidence that we have what we have here in terms of our formulations, our products is pure gold. And this works. And we had clinical trial data which said that 93% people who will use Traya for 5 months will see hair results, which no brand in the world, not just India, can go out and claim. So there we were sitting on a claim, but very little revenue because all our focus that year was on that. Then we realized that okay, we have a great product that works.
yeah,
But very important assumption here is that people needs to use it for 5 months. It's very difficult to make people use something for 5 months. Trust me, you tell people that if you will not eat a medicine, you'll get a heart attack. Still, people skip that medicine. Right? Adherence and compliance in healthcare is the biggest problem. Now, how do we
yeah,
do that? So the entire next year, from 2020 November when we launched Thrive to 2021 November, I remember all the money, all the energy was put into only one metric, one North Star metric, which was how many people who start Thrive reach the fifth month, and do they see hair regrowth results or not? So we were not tracking revenue on a monthly basis. We were closely tracking efficacy.
okay,
And we realized the fifth month is the sweet spot. If they reach fifth month, they will see results. So the DNA of the company changed to becoming a habit building company. We didn't even internally call ourselves a hair loss solution company. We said we are a habit building company. We need to get people to use this routine, this hair
yeah,
routine, this hair
yeah,
cream for 5 months. We build tech for it. We build processes for it. We build people for it. So Traya has something called a Traya hair coach, which is given to every customer. The coach is an integral part of really bringing this person, hand holding this person through the hair regrowth journey. Think of coach as like a personal trainer in your weight loss journey, right?
yeah.
So the coach was also born out of this whole exercise around retention as in fifth month retention, getting
Yeah.
someone to the fifth month.
Fifth month. Yeah.
Yeah. And when both these things were sorted out, we took 2.5 years to sort out one, our formulations and clinical trials, and two, our retention piece. Then in 2022 March, we said, hey, we have here, we just need to press the pedal. So in March 2020, we decided that now we will focus on brand and marketing and growing, because we have the tech ready, we have the products ready, we have the doctors ready, we know this thing works, we know how to get majority of people to the fifth month. Let's get started. And from March 2020 to March 23, we grew 13 times in 1 year in terms of our
Yeah.
revenue, which I really don't know any other company that year in India, at least in the stage that we were at, grew. So that kind of growth was possible because there was 3.5 years of hard work behind it,
Yes.
to come to a level where you know that you had the PMF, not just the product market fit, but also the communication market fit. By that time, we knew what to tell a consumer, what our ad should look like, how many ads will I have to show. All of it was sorted out where we could just sort of put in money and grow, and not just grow with funding money with CACs that are off the roof, but grow towards profitability. So that's something that, that's how the journey was
Has
broken
been
down.
for you. That's very wonderful to hear. So, one question that I am really eager to know is like, as an entrepreneur, what are the daily habits that you do just keep you motivated, or do you follow some schedule that's like your go-to plan in a day?
Okay. So one thing which is very, very important, and sorry if I sound like preachy here, but this is coming from a person who has always been very lazy,
Okay.
never done anything for health. If I look back at my college or post college days, I would prefer sleeping most mornings, and spend a Sunday watching movies. But now, after starting Traya, I realize the importance of really working out daily. So that 1 hour weight training,
Workout.
yoga, workout is like non-negotiable. Nothing in the world is burning enough to not let me do that.
Okay, so we have the answer. What keeps you motivated is the workout. So now let's start with one question answer with our audience. So some of the people have some questions that we can answer and help
Sure.
them. So to everyone, you can drop down your questions and we'll start taking them up. So someone in the group has already asked, SM, what is your advice for someone who wants to start up a company? How do you go about hiring in the initial days?
I think I covered that, Ayushi, but just in short, don't focus too much on qualification and skill sets. Focus on passion, culture. Do you like to hang out with that person? Because trust me, 20 hours a day you will be in a room with that person. Because skill sets, etc., can be figured out. You both will have a learning curve and you will figure it out. So focus on a passion. Is the person bought into your dream? Are they joining this company not for money but because they are
Yeah,
building this
passionate.
dream along with you? The advantage is that if things goes right, they will stay along. Traya's first employee is still heading a team of 120 people here at Traya.
That's
uh,
wonderful.
right, and it's a 3.5 year company now. So if you get the first few people right, they are as close to as an entrepreneur is.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So, and one of our attendees saying that your journey is very inspiring, Saloni. Being a women entrepreneur is definitely not easy because women's have so many things to juggle up between. So, how did you manage your personal and professional life while juggling? And did you, as a women entrepreneur, this is me asking, faced any challenge that you think happened because you were a women entrepreneur?
uh, I was really foolish to start a company and have a baby the same year.
Yes.
Yes, difficult. It became easier for me is because I started with my husband. So my co-founder, being the fact that my co-founder was my husband, we could really balance the two places, where I could tell my co-founder, "You leave early today because I have to work late, and I need like 3 hours of late night meeting today with my team." Or you take care of work, I am handling something at home, so I'm getting out. It's definitely very easy comparatively to other people when you have um, husband as your founder, which is now becoming very common.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good way to go about it, to juggle up between both and to excel into both as well. So some of our users are also wants to know about how to take care of hair and the hair health.
Right. Not just your hair and skin both are more to do with what you eat than what you apply. So the world is throwing at you multiple hair and skin routines. The celebs are throwing at you routines, etc. Trust me, I have seen research. If 100% is, let's say, skincare and hair care, 10% or 5% is products, and 95% is exercise and food and lifestyle habits. If you are a chain smoker, trust me, no matter what ceramide or sunscreen I give you, your skin is going to show that. If you are not going to exercise, your skin is going to show that. If you are just going to eat junk, your skin is eventually going to show that, and your hair. It's
Mhm.
so deeply connected to these three things. So don't worry about putting onion on your hair. Worry more about eating a banana, or working more towards what you're putting in your eating versus applying. So I think that's one sort of takeaway that I want everyone to have. Number one. Number two, hair loss, hair fall is reversible. A lot of people think that it's a part of aging. My father was bald, I will go bald. That's not the case. We see lakhs and lakhs of people now growing hair with Traya. There is treatment available. So don't get affected by, because I know how big a psychological impact hair leaves on us. Even a bad hair day spoils our mood,
Yeah.
or having a good hair makes us feel elated. So if you are a case where you're not having healthy hair but have certain hair issues, trust me, there are treatments available. Go out and take the right one. Don't fall in the product trap.
Okay, that's good to hear. So I think working out is one way to keep yourself healthy, to skin, hair, and to overall human body. Some of our attendees also wants to know that what is as an entrepreneur is your something that you look forward in the day and something that you find really challenging as an entrepreneur.
Okay. Good question. Something that I look forward, I really like working with my team. I look forward to like reach office and meet them and chill with them. And so my team, the 300 people that work together in one under one roof here at Traya, is something that I look forward to. Something that I find challenging. I think letting go, and that's something that I'm learning, because as we are growing, it's important for me to not know things in the company or not be involved everywhere. So I am finding it a bit challenging to letting go.
Mhm.
For example, last 3.5 years, I have headed the brand here at Traya. There was no brand head, and I've recently hired a head of brand. So I have like given my baby to someone and said, okay, I'm not going to be involved here. So yeah, that's a bit challenging, but working towards it.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, someone in the group is asking that they have recently diagnosed with TB with heavy medication, which leads to tuberculosis. I think they meant to say, which leads to heavy hair fall. So, what kind of a food or lifestyle would you recommend, or how could thyroid be helpful for them?
Sorry. So, yeah, got it. So, any medication related hair fall is called telogen effluvium. Telogen effluvium is basically hair fall that happens most likely not during the time you are having the problem or the disease, but 3 to 4 months later, and it's because your body has undergone such stress of that disease, of recovering from that disease. You will see excessive hair fall. However, please understand that this is not permanent. So, whatever you are losing eventually can come back. So, first, take the stress out of this situation. Number two, there are certain peptides that you can use to accelerate the recovery of these hair. For example, at Traya, we have something called Recap, which is Read and Cell Capexel Pro Capel. These are pregnancy safe peptides. It's a serum that you can apply on your hair. It basically regenerates the follicle. So all the hair that you're losing because of telogen effluvium comes back faster.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, we provide certain multivitamins or Ayurvedic herbs which are general nourishment. So think of chaman prash for hair, right? And the reason we do that is because your body is depleted because of tuberculosis. It's the depletion that has caused telogen effluvium. So you give more nourishment than usual. Of course, you eat healthy. That goes without saying. You eat healthy. You eat greens. You eat less dairy, less wheat, more protein, more greens, and all of that will help. But apart from that, if you want to sort of uh, speed up the nourishment process, speed up the recovery process, then hair rust and recap is something that we really are our to go to for a case like yours, which is telogen effluvium.
Okay, I hope that answers. And someone wants to know that where do you envision your company from 5 to 10 years from now, and what kind of an impact do you want to make?
The largest hair fall or the largest hair solution brand in the world, a household name, not just in India, but at least more than one or two countries, known for its efficacy and honesty, where people talk about it when they really want to talk about, hey, this works. So that's the dream. There is a chance that we could start doing things more than hair. We have R&D for a lot of other health issues, but chronic health is a space that excites us. So anything that a 30-year-old young individual today faces, where there is not a single pill solution available and one needs the complexity of three sciences and Traya, I think that's a pie available to eat.
Okay, so I think that's wonderful. Today's session has been so enriching in getting to know what the hair care problem should be, and how should one should approach about it, and how one should really go about entrepreneurship. If there's any other question from anyone, we would be happy to take it.
I think I'll take this one, Piyush Singh. While opening a new company, what should we read to open a new company? There's enough things available on the internet. Start reading. What I want to say is that it's okay. There is no right time to start a company. Right. And for the longest time, I kept thinking, oh, I don't have an idea. Oh, I'm not ready. It's okay to not be ready, but when you are ready, start tonight. Don't spend too much time on, oh, how will I do it? How do I read up? First, let me meet 10 people, understand. Really, when you decide that you want to start something and you have something that you're passionate about, the day is that day, not the next day. And why I'm saying that is because it's like पानी में कूद जाओ तो तैरना सीख जाते हो टाइप्स. बट अगर कूदोगे नहीं तो हमेशा बाहर ही खड़े रहोगे because you'll keep reading how to swim, but you cannot read and learn to swim. You will have to jump into the pool to learn swimming. So just jump.
Yeah, that's a pretty good advice for everyone. I think a lot of people keep always overthinking about it, so it's good to jump once you are little ready, and then along the way you're going to be more ready with that. So, on that note, I think we can wrap up for today's session. Thank you, Saloni, for taking out time and gracing us with your presence and share your incredible insights. I think, your journey is inspiration to so many people in India and world. We hope and we wish you all the very best from envisioning your company in the next 10 years the way that you want it to be. And to our fabulous audience, thank you so much for taking our time. At Zuno, we are really committed to help you in your career growth and to be updated with such sessions. Keep yourself updated by signing up on Zuno.
Thank you so much, everyone.